Our reading today is at least going to start out whole group together as we go into chapter 3. Looking at the table of contents, what page can I find chapter 3 on?
28.
What is the title of chapter 3?
Mirrors and reflections.
Very good. Mirrors and reflections. So we can be on page 28 where we're going to read about mirrors and reflection. Everybody point to the image we see on page 29. Let's read the caption together. Light reflected from the surface of this mirror allows the dentist to see the back of a person's teeth. So a dentist's job is to be able to look at your teeth, but can they stick their head all the way inside your mouth to look at the back of them?
No.
So they're going to use that tool, that mirror, even just to look at them. So being able to see that reflection is very helpful for people's jobs as well. In previous lessons, we learned that light travels in straight lines and it is stopped by opaque objects. And then we know opaque objects create shadows. Very good. Today, as you read page 28 to yourself, I want you to find the answer to this question. What happens when light hits a smooth, shiny surface? Go ahead and read to find out what happens when light hits a smooth, shiny surface. Whenever we're reading with that goal of trying to answer questions or read for information. Today I asked you what happens when light hits a smooth, shiny surface. Many of you are now doing an awesome thing where your finger is in the book, pointing to where you found it. That's that idea of using text evidence. It would require being on the correct page, my dear. Using text evidence in order to answer a question. So third graders, what happens when light hits a smooth, shiny surface? It is reflected. If we look right at the very bottom, it kind of pops up in two spots in our reading. But even the last line, if light hits a smooth, shiny surface, like a mirror, it is reflected. What does it mean if something is reflected? Could we use text evidence for that too? We sure could. Cooper, I see your finger on it. What does it mean if something is reflected?
Light that is reflected bounces off of something in its path.
Fabulous. So if it's reflected, the light is bouncing
Off something in its path.
Fabulous. Perfect. So I notice oftentimes when I'm reading, if I have, I found the answer to our question right there at the bottom, but then as we continued reading, I needed to know the meaning of reflected, and I can go back in the text to answer that as well, right? So sometimes you might find the answer to a question, but could you still be confused by it? And now we know that that idea of reflected means that light is bouncing off of it. Good. Could you imagine being a dentist now and doing your job without the use of mirrors?
No.
You would only be cleaning and taking care of the front half of people's teeth. How many of you only brush the front half of your teeth? Ew, Cooper, brush the back half of your teeth.
Only a little bit.
I'm just teasing you.
This part is working for
More important. Well, you gotta brush the backside too. There's more part to your teeth, right? I'm just giving you a hard time. We're gonna go ahead and turn to the next page. As we're reading, be thinking about those main idea and key details as we come across them. Thinking about what we're mostly reading in our book. So we're on the next page. We are on page 30 and 31. On page 31, we have this picture of this little lady again. And what is she doing?
looking at her face.
She's looking at a mirror. According to the text or even the caption, what type of mirror is she looking at? Claire, what kind of mirror? Claire? It's a plane mirror. That mirror is going to be, when we hear that word plane in this case, it's that flat mirror. Aiden, scoot back. It's a flat mirror that she's looking into. We're going to read a little bit about those mirrors now and what's happening with them. This should be a pretty quick read, but I want you to read to find out what a mirror is made of, because I think it's kind of a confusing but interesting topic. So what is a mirror made of? Go ahead and read to find out. We were reading to find out what that mirror is made of. It's kind of interesting because I don't think I even really knew this until reading it. But what is a mirror made of? Brock. Yep, and then it's cooled off. So it's glass And then it's heated, or it's got silver metals going over it that are heated up to make it nice and shiny, and then it's cooled. Or silvery metals, I guess. And then it's cooled so that it, Chloe. So then it's that mirror, and it has that reflective element to it where it's shiny and it can come back, right? The light can come back to you. I want you to turn and talk with your neighbor. Examples of where you see mirrors in your life or in your home.
A TV kind of.
3, 2, 1. How many of you mentioned the mirror in your bathroom? How many of you mentioned the mirror in cars? So it's like the rearview mirror and the mirrors on the side. Good. How many of you mentioned mirrors? I can't even think of other places. In your own rooms, your bedrooms. Fabulous. 3, next page. 2, 1. Go ahead and turn to the next page. So far, we're reading a lot about what type of mirror. What type of mirrors? It's coming up over and over and over again, giving you a good idea of the main idea of the text. On the next page, what do we see our picture of? To start our reading today, I kind of described that purpose of a kaleidoscope or what it does. And you're going to read to find out more about it. So read to find out what a kaleidoscope is and how a kaleidoscope works. And there's lots of good descriptions I heard about what a kaleidoscope is. But according to our text today, what is a kaleidoscope? I see the people who are like so excited to share. Chloe, what is a kaleidoscope according to our text? No, what is a kaleidoscope? You got it. A kaleidoscope is.
It's a tube with plain mirrors inside.
That's all it is. It's a tube and it has.
Plain mirrors inside.
Okay, now how do we make it work? It's this tube and it's got mirrors inside of it. How do I make it work? According to our text, Haley, what do I do?
So, as you go to a small hole at one of the kaleidoscope and point it toward the light. As you rotate the tube, you'll see beautiful colors.
Fabulous. So very simple. Everybody pretend like you have a kaleidoscope in your hand. You've got your kaleidoscope. You're looking through a little hole at the end and you're pointing it towards the light. So like people's eyes are up towards the light or out towards the window. Fabulous. And as you move the tube, you see beautiful colored patterns. Thank you, hands down. If we look at the picture there, this is like an example of what you might see if you look inside of that kaleidoscope. So it's that reflected image is repeated over and over again. And that's why we see that same thing happening over and over again, as the reflection is showing it over and over again. That's just mirrors doing that. Kind of neat, right? And as the objects inside move, your image is going to change as well because the reflection pattern is going to be different. Kaleidoscopes are rather fun. If you've not seen one or had the chance to use one, they're pretty cool. Go ahead and turn the page. On the next page, I want you guys to read to find out how are concave mirrors and convex mirrors different from plane mirrors. And we already know this, right? We just did it in our read aloud. So how are concave and convex different from plane?